She added, "They do lunch every Friday." I thanked her and walked back to my truck. Rhonda and I got married when we were 28, both of us. She was finishing a business degree at night, working the front desk at a claims office. I was trying to grow 2 service vans into something worth keeping. We figured it out as we went, which is how most people do it. By the time of that anniversary, Marsh Comfort Systems had 5 guys on payroll and 3 trucks with my name on the side. I'd paid off the house in Broken Arrow 4 years ahead of schedule. Rhonda had climbed to senior claims analyst at Meridian Insurance. Health benefits, decent title, her own desk with a window. She talked about her team a lot the last couple of years. Talked about their regional director, Michael DeVore. "Sharp guy," she said. "Good communicator." He'd gone to bat for her on a raise the previous spring. I wasn't jealous. 16 years, and she'd never given me a reason. When a marriage runs that long without a problem, you stop checking. You walk on it every day and put your head somewhere else. That Tuesday, I'd blocked out the afternoon for Camacho's on Riverside, the Italian place we'd gone to on our 5th. I was feeling good. The kind of steady good that comes when the work is running right and everything around it is holding. Then I wasn't. I didn't leave right after the receptionist told me. I sat in my Tacoma in the visitor lot and let the air conditioning run. 40 minutes later, a silver sedan pulled up to the front entrance. Rhonda got out of the passenger side. Michael DeVore walked her to the door. I hadn't seen him before that moment. Early 50s, trim, open collar. The kind of man who'd been running things a long time and had the ease to prove it. She was laughing at something he'd said. Not the polite work laugh I knew from her Christmas parties. Something easier, more comfortable than that. He held the door for her, and she touched his arm going in. Her hand on his forearm. 2 seconds maybe. I've seen Rhonda touch people her whole adult life. I know what that gesture looks like when it means something. I pulled out my phone and took 2 photos through the windshield. Not clean shots, but enough to know what I was looking at. After they went inside, I waited a while longer with the engine running. The sunflowers were on the passenger seat. The paper was going soft in the heat. Decided against it. Not because I wasn't ready, but because I had nothing solid yet, and walking in hot with only a parking lot and a feeling wasn't going to help me. I put the truck in reverse and drove home. Left the sunflowers in a glass of water on the kitchen counter and didn't say a word about any of it. Rhonda got home at 6:30, came in through the garage, dropped her bag, asked how my day went. She noticed the sunflowers on the counter and asked where I'd gotten them. I said I picked them up on the way in. She smiled and leaned over to smell them, then said she'd completely forgotten it was our anniversary and that we should do something that weekend, maybe Saturday dinner. She kissed me on the cheek and went upstairs to change. I stood in the kitchen and listened to her moving around up there. Closet, bathroom, TV clicking on in the bedroom. I thought about Michael DeVore holding that door open, about her hand on his forearm, about how she'd walked in laughing. She came down in sweats and asked if I wanted pasta. I said sure. We ate at the kitchen table. She told me about a complicated claim she was sorting through, something involving a disputed timeline. She talked about her team. She did not mention Michael DeVore. While she moved to the couch, I opened the banking app on my phone and scrolled the joint account. 2 Tuesday lunch charges in the past month at places I didn't recognize. After dinner, she sat on the couch scrolling her phone. I did the dishes and put them away. Around 11, I went up to bed. She followed about an hour later. I lay there and listened to her breathing settle into sleep. When it went slow and regular, I reached over to the nightstand and picked up her phone. The thread was labeled Michael D. near the top of her messages. Taking the phone to the bathroom, I sat on the edge of the tub and read 6 months of texts. They were careful with most of it. Office shorthand for scheduling, references to files and meetings. But between the careful parts, there was plenty that wasn't careful at all. Last night was exactly what I needed. Tuesday again. By the time I reached the end of the thread, there was nothing left to wonder about. I opened my own phone and photographed her screen. 16 shots. Every message that mattered. Then I put her phone face down and went back to bed. Set it exactly where I'd found it. Rhonda didn't stir. I lay there 20 minutes, then got up, went to the kitchen, and opened a notes app. Typed out what I'd read, names, dates, exact language from the messages. Sent it to my own email at 6 in the morning and deleted the draft. My wife had been sleeping with her boss. That was clear now. Didn't need to call it anything more complicated than that. By the time I finished, the sky outside was going gray. I got up, made coffee, and went to work. I already knew who I was calling first. I gave myself 4 days. Wednesday, I ran a job in South Tulsa. Thursday, a school building out in Bixby. Normal week on paper. Rhonda and I had dinner together both evenings. She talked. I listened. I didn't pick fights, didn't ask leading questions. There was nothing in my face that told her anything was different, which was exactly what I needed. I have a property management client named Walt who's been doing commercial real estate in Tulsa for 30 years and knows most of the people worth knowing. Thursday afternoon, from my truck between jobs, I called him and asked casual if he knew a Michael DeVore over at Meridian. Walt knew him. Solid professionally, married to a woman named Connie, 2 kids, lived out in Jenks. Wife worked at a dental practice on 71st Street. I found the practice online. That evening I texted Connie DeVore from my personal number. Kept it short. Told her I didn't know her, but I had information about her husband, and I thought she deserved to hear it before anyone else did. Said I'd understand if she didn't want to respond. She replied in 8 minutes. She asked if we could meet somewhere outside town. I said yes. We met Saturday morning at a diner off Highway 169, north of Owasso. She was already there when I walked in. Mid-40s, steady eyes, hands wrapped around a coffee cup. She had the look of a woman who'd been sitting with a question for a while and had come to get the answer. I put my phone on the table and showed her the screenshots. She went through them one at a time. She didn't say much. When she got to the photo, she set the phone down and looked out at the parking lot. Then she said she'd had her own suspicions for going on 2 months. She told me Meridian had a policy against relationships between supervisors and the people they managed directly. Michael had signed off on it when he took the director role. She also mentioned he was in line for a VP position. The announcement expected this quarter, something they'd been building toward for 2 years. And she told me about the annual family recognition dinner. Every year, Thursday evening at the Renaissance Hotel downtown. Spouses and families included. I drove home thinking about that Thursday. On Monday morning, I sent all 16 screenshots to Meridian's HR compliance inbox. Clear subject line, names, nothing extra. Rhonda mentioned the dinner Sunday evening while she was putting away laundry. Said it the same way she'd been saying everything those 2 weeks. Neutral, like reading from a list. Awards and recognition. Food was usually decent. Spouses were welcome this year. She said it the way you offer something you're hoping someone won't take. I told her I'd be there. She set down a folded towel and said, "You really don't have to. It's pretty corporate." I said I'd enjoy the break. She picked up the next towel and didn't push it further. I talked to Connie twice that week. She'd made her own filing through an attorney, Wednesday of that week, separate from mine. I hadn't coordinated timing with her on purpose. We'd both decided what we were doing, and we were both doing it. That was all it needed to be. Wednesday morning, I moved the joint savings to my personal account. The attorney had given me the window. Thursday morning, I put on the navy blazer I wear for client presentations. Found my good shoes at the back of the closet. Last time I'd worn them was some anniversary dinner, a couple years back. Rhonda had been in a red dress. I remembered that. I laced up the shoes and went downstairs. The HR complaint had been sitting in someone's inbox since Monday. The divorce papers since Wednesday. All I had to do was show up. The hotel ballroom was round tables and soft lighting. Rhonda was already inside when I walked in, standing near the bar with 2 coworkers. When she saw me cross the room, something moved across her face for just a second, and then she smiled and said I looked nice. We found seats. The room filled up. Michael DeVore was at a table on the far side with a few of his managers, back turned toward me. He didn't see me come in. About 30 minutes into the evening, the far door opened and Connie DeVore walked through it. Navy dress, straight posture. She found an open seat near the back. Across the room, I watched the exact moment Michael noticed her. His conversation stopped mid-sentence. He looked at her, then looked at me, then set his glass down slowly. After the dinner service, he got up and walked toward the bar near the exit. I waited a minute, then followed. He was standing alone with his back to the room. I said, HR received a complaint Wednesday morning. Connie filed hers separately through an attorney. I thought you should hear it from me. He didn't say anything. I walked back to the table. Rhonda was quiet on the drive home. She put her phone in her bag when we got in the car and didn't take it out again. I kept the radio on a low country station and let the silence sit. When we got inside, I told her I was taking the spare room, and we'd talk in the morning. She stood in the hallway with an expression I hadn't seen on her face before. Not guilty exactly. More like a person who's just realized a door has already closed. She said my name once, quietly. I said, "Morning," and went upstairs. In the morning, she came down in her robe. I had coffee on. I told her I'd filed for divorce the day before the dinner. Told her the house was mine before we married and was staying that way. She had 2 weeks to make her arrangements. She cried, said she was sorry, said it had gotten out of hand, that she'd already ended it with Michael weeks ago. I let her finish. Then I said, 6 months of texts. I read them all. Last one came in Friday. She moved out 2 weeks later, boxes to her sister's place in Bixby. Michael's VP announcement was pulled that same month. Word through Walt. Reassigned to a compliance role, no direct reports. Connie's attorney filed in November. Rhonda's contract at Meridian didn't renew at the end of the quarter. She took a position at a smaller firm across town. I heard that from her sister, who still texts me sometimes. The house is quiet now, mostly in a good way. 5 guys show up every morning. The waiting list runs 2 weeks out. I work, come home, eat dinner, watch a game. Some evenings I sit out back with a beer and it feels all right. Some evenings it's just quiet and I let it be. The accessible beige walls are still up in the bedroom. I keep meaning to paint over them. Haven't decided yet. I think about 16 years sometimes. Not with bitterness. More like going through old paperwork, trying to figure out what I was actually looking at and what I just chose to see. I don't have a clean answer on that, and I probably won't. What I do know, I drove to her office on a Tuesday afternoon with a bunch of sunflowers. I walked in. I heard what the receptionist said, and I walked back out to my truck and started